Hip-Hop Preservation Society, our goal is to define and teach hip-hop's accumulated wisdom as a life strategy that promotes health, love, awareness, and wealth. Our motto is victory over the streets. We believe that hip-hop is a full culture. It's a state of mind, a way of being. What the music industry has done, the rap music industry particularly has done, it has distorted the views of what hip-hop started from. Back in the early 70s, Africa Bambaataa. How many people are familiar with Africa Bambaataa? A round of applause. Okay. Africa Bambaataa and Cool DJ Herc started this culture, and the Zulu Nation was founded on the principles of peace, love, unity, and having fun. Now, Now, for those that know, when we look at hip-hop right now, particularly from the entertainment side, it's really changed a lot. And it's really up to us as hip-hoppers to reclaim our culture, to reclaim what we really want it to be. We know hip-hop has always been beyond race, beyond culture, beyond religion, beyond gender, beyond sexual orientation, beyond all the isms that have stopped other people from moving forward. Hip-hop has always embraced those things. So it's really up to us to carry on the message forward on it. This year coming is the 7th annual Hip-Hop Appreciation Week. It's going to be May 16th through May 23rd. Now, Hip-Hop Appreciation Week is the time where we as hip-hoppers can celebrate ourselves. We move in what we call a mass movement. We are a ministry, archive, school, and society. Everybody's not going to be a rapper. Everybody's not going to break. Everybody's not going to do those things. But when we look at all of us in here, just look around at the room, and you see the diversity of what is hip-hop culture. So don't let someone define us or who we are. We have to remember that we are the ones that will determine what hip-hop is going to look like 50 years from now. Is it going to look the way MTV portrays it? Is it going to look the way that BET portrays it? Or is it going to look the way that we want it to be? That's something that we have to really get serious about. You know, there are over 40 million potential hip-hop voters. If we capture 10% of that, we've run this whole country. We have to really realize now is the time, and we are the people. How many people are ready for us to really lead this world to a brighter place, to more constructive music, more loving, more culture, more giving of ourselves? How many people are really ready for that? Well, you know, this is the time for you to really get involved. With the Temple of Hip Hop, when you go to our website, www.templeofhiphop.org, what it's going to ask you is how can you get involved to make the changes that you want to see? You know, we are past the days of anyone being a victim. We don't believe in victimization. We believe that all of us have the potential to live a life that we desire. We believe that right now in this modern times, we have change the laws to make them so it is equitable across the board. Now what we really need to do is change our minds and change our hearts. So what we need to do right now is get our minds open and receptive to what we're getting ready to hear. So without further ado, this is the moment that you've been waiting for. Everyone stand up and join me as we welcome our brother, our friend, our teacher, KRS-One.
Yes, yes. I don't think my mic is on yet, but I guess we don't even need it. First of all, thank you all for bringing me here. It was a long drive. It was crazy, but I got a chance to see this part of the United States, and I tell you, it really makes you just look at yourself. Look at, yes, please. Thank you. 1, 2, 1, 2. So, yeah, here we go. I really got a chance to see this part of the United States during the winter. I don't fly anywhere. I don't take public transportation, really. And the reason I know, this is long before all of the scares on television and all that kind of stuff. This is way back. We just decided not to take public transportation. And one of the reasons for my own self not taking public transportation is because I get a lot done in the time that it takes for me to travel. So I figure every time I travel, I should at least turn it into a vacation or a chance to study or this, that, and the other. And it's sort of turned into a habit now where I basically drive myself all over the country, and it's wonderful. And I probably would have it no other way. But it makes you think about where you came from. And this is some of the things I want to talk about. I mean, Reed College. You don't know, I'm ecstatic to be here right now. And that, this is really a treat for me. Let me tell you a little about what I'd like to discuss with you tonight. Obviously, many of you already know my affiliation with hip hop, the culture, and of course, those that don't know, it's been about 18 years, about 13 albums, and everything in between, movies, commercials, this, that, and the other. When it comes to hip hop, you name it, we've been there, did that. But I will say this, that we are at the beginning of a new age, not just in hip hop, but in the world itself. And one of the missions that we are on within the hip hop community, one of the missions that the community itself is on, is a phrase called keep it real. Keep it real. De La Soul transformed this phrase and they say keep it right. And that's very important, the way De La Soul, this is 3 Feet High and Rising album. I know I'm speaking Chinese right now, but those that do know, on there they said keep it right, and was steering the hip hop community in the idea, instead of keeping it real, try to keep it right. But it doesn't erase the fact that the hip hop community does have this underlying philosophy about keeping it real, about being real. We're gonna talk about hip hop in that way and how it applies to your everyday life in this idea of keeping it real. What does that mean? Why is that important? Well, here's why it's important, first of all, because everyone is seeking success. Everyone wants to get to where they want to be in life. They want to get to where they want to go. They want to get there with the least amount of pain and suffering. And the best way to get to where you got to go with the least amount of pain and suffering is to take the advice of others. I'll say it again. The best way to get to where you got to go with the least amount of pain and suffering is to take the advice of others. But of course, we don't take the advice of anyone. The human being, the nature of the human being is to seek, question, and doubt, and to find out for oneself what things really are. This leads to a lot of the suffering in our own life. We can avoid a lot of the suffering in our life if you just go through life going, yep, yep. The minute you go, no, I don't think so, that's actually where suffering begins. And I'll tell you where it starts here. Because for you to say no, to reject something, takes courage on any level. To say no, that split second between yes or no, to say no to something means you have the authority and the power to reject it. No, I don't think so. No, I think it's this way. A lot of people don't have this power to reject some of the things coming at them. They don't have the power to say no. Why? because their well-being is connected to them constantly saying yes to a certain situation. Yes, oh yes, yes, but in your heart it's really, no, I really don't want to do that. I really don't feel that way. I really don't want to go there. I really don't want to be around them. I really don't. But all of that is connected to my well-being. My money is connected to here. My relationship is connected here. My life seems to be going in a direction that I really don't want it to go in, but my well-being is here. Constantly you hear people say, you know, what's wrong with you today, Johnny? I'm just down. What's wrong? Well, it's dead-end job. Well, why don't you quit? Well, I can't. Why can't you? Because of the fear of not having a job, and split second, you know how fear does. In split second, you make the decision, no job, I can't pay my bills, I'll be broke in the street, I'll die, I'll be hungry, homeless, they'll just step on me, and then everything will be over. And you make that in a split second, all of a sudden, if I can't pay my bills, I'll die. And we make decisions based on these fears. Based on these fears, we make these certain decisions that go against our heart. Hip-hop advocates that you keep it real. But to keep it real, or to be able to say no to something, takes a lot of courage, because there are consequences to you keeping it real. Keeping it real may mean, listen, you know, I am an electrician. I always wanted to study electronics. I love electronics. I'm going to school for electronics. That's it, electronics. I'm out of here. I am a full electrician. I know what I want to be and do in life, and this is it. This is my purpose. Now, you're on your way to electronics school or whatever, and you're studying electronics. Along the way, you meet her. Along the way, you meet him, you meet them, you acquire that. Now him, her, them, that starts to define your path in life. You start, well, I want to be an electrician, but her. I know I can run this whole corporation, but him. These are the root, tough life decisions that we deal with every day. Do you have the courage to be you? This is the essence of what hip-hop is really all about. I mean, the breakdancing, the MCing, graffiti art, DJing, beatboxing, street fashion, language knowledge, all that stuff, those are the effects. But what is hip-hop in and of itself? It's this. It is the courage to be you. Now, whatever you is, notice how I said that. Whatever you is, because that's part of a whole nother discussion. Why is you, like why is you followed by R? Like, forget it. Forget it. You got my mind going now. The point is, do you have the courage to be you for real? If I really am me, there are consequences to that. Am I willing to go through the consequences to really be me? This is all that stops you from success in life. This is the only thing that has stopped anyone. It is just on the other side of your fear is your blessing. On the other side of that challenge in your life, the other side of your phobia is your purpose, is the meaning of your life, is what you are here to do. Now, you can shirk it off for the rest of your life. Say, I'm not going there, I'll never go there, but I really want to see but no, I just can't, but I really want to know. That thing is what causes people not to live their true purpose in life. And if there's one message that gets across quickly in hip-hop is, I'm going to keep it real with me. Keeping it real with me may mean I may have to get shot 9 times. And I may have to tell you about it too. But I'm gonna keep it real with me. The question really is, are you gonna keep it real with you? How many of us are walking around with the mask on our face, expecting to be successful in life without showing our real face? Imagine the equation. You want this face to be successful in life, but you put on another one. You want this person to be successful in life, but you act like another one. And then that other person becomes successful, and then you're miserable. Because what has become successful is not you. From day one, you got to keep it real with yourself. Whoever you may wind up being, becoming, seeing, teaching, talking, whatever, do you have the courage to be you? Can you really stand up and be you? This is lesson number 1. You don't front for nobody. A lot of college students, such as yourselves, wait for others to tell them that they are good, or that they have succeeded, or that they are here now. A lot of college students get wrapped up in that thought that something external than self should be validating self. That idea of validation of an external source blinds us from the truth of our gathering here as college students. We don't want to keep it real when we come to college. We don't want to keep it real. We want to keep the face on. And what does that mean? Well, it means that, we know that college is a business, but we don't want to say that. We know that, here in a higher institution of learning, that, you came in here to be an electrician or whatever, say, for instance, a computer person or business associate, whatever it is, you came in here to be that. But you know that there are some courses that you are taking that has nothing to do with your career whatsoever. You're wondering, why am I even sitting in this class? This class makes no sense, and I'll never need this knowledge ever again in my life. But you will put the mask on and sit down and go through this. You'll go all the way down to your graduation with the mask on, never once keeping it real. And, well, I'm gonna go right to the graduation. They hand you your receipt, your degree. And then, suddenly you're in the real world. Whoa, boy, oh boy. And now the mask doesn't work, because everybody in the real world, they got other masks now. There's different masks on their face. They're not keeping it real either. But in the real world, the one who keeps it real is the one that does actually rise to the top. But there are consequences to keeping it real, and that's why many people don't make it to the top. They don't think for one second that if I know I'm the CEO of this whole corporation right now, but to get there, I'm gonna have to fire my friend Mary. Some people make those decisions every day. Keep it real. How real can you keep it? Oh, this is a good one. How real can you keep it? Because you can keep it real to yourself. Be like, look, I'm just gonna be me, and I will take the consequences of me. Unto death. It's me. And I'm gonna be me, and that's gonna be that. But then how real do you really wanna take it? Because they say sometimes that politics is about compromise. And we're in a political environment constantly, especially this season. And so how really real are we really real? Are we gonna really take this? Take it to our citizenship. For instance, are we really keeping it real there? Really? In my opinion, just imagine this. I'll put this with citizenship. and I don't say this because in hip hop I'm known as the teacher, but I say this realistically that in my opinion, I mean teachers, the way in which this country deals with teachers, I don't think anybody in this country should be voting at all until the situation with American education gets dealt with once and for all. I'm just keeping it real with you. The American public has the power to make anything happen. Anything. Whatever, anything. The only thing is that we don't know that. That's the problem. We don't know that. We think there is actually a system different from ourselves. Like we say, it's the system. But when you look at the system, it's people. It's people screwing over people. It's people helping people. It's people, I mean, it's just people. Where's the system? Where's the government? Where are these candidates? We say, I don't like the president. I don't like the candidates. I don't like the senator. I don't like the governor. They're us. All the people are us. These people come out of the people. This is why I take my work very seriously. Because I don't subscribe to that argument, oh, once you on the top, now we all gonna point the finger at him. He did it, he's the one. No, it doesn't work like that. No, there is a Jeffrey Dahmer in this room right now. And I'm trying to talk you out of some of your ways right now. I'm not gonna wait till you're on CNN to then say, oh, society produced such a... No, it starts right here, right here. You're sitting next to Bill Gates. For real. You are sitting next to someone who you're gonna look back on in life and say, I was sitting next to that person. It always happens, it always happens. That's why you can't wait for people to validate your life. You gotta keep it real with your life. You're sitting next to your business associates now. You're sitting next to your enemies now. You're sitting next to people you're gonna read about in the paper or hear about in social gatherings as either rising or falling. You're gonna hear about this. Make your business associates now, don't wait. If you study in medicine, buy the coat and the stethoscope now. If you're studying law, defend some of your thugged out friends now. Yeah. Don't wait for the validation. Determine your life now. The validation is good. All validation and award is good. That's always good. But it doesn't define you. What is it that defines you? This is what I've spent about 20 years working on. Metaphysics, philosophy. Well, what is it? General philosophy with a branch of metaphysics. As a metaphysician, we seek to dig into what is real and what is fake. I teach something called urban inspirational metaphysics. It's a slight twist on general metaphysics. But urban inspirational metaphysics simply means, in a nutshell, that your theories have to work out in real life. In metaphysicians, in most philosophy, you can talk about abstract theories all day. You can talk about stuff that never comes into the material world at all. And we find this to be inactive because what the world needs now is some better philosophers right now. And I mean, like, for real. I mean, we're at this point where the American public is in between. It's like we don't really trust the politician. The religious community is shaky. You need a guy to come right in the middle of that. That's a philosopher. That's somebody who says, well, look, I don't care if you believe in God or not. That's up to you. Your belief is your belief. My belief is my belief. But we do have to try to get along here. So let us try to create this thing called civilization. And try not to have technology overrun it. Now, we don't have enough brave philosophers. So the world is the way it is because people with knowledge, with certain enlightenment of the world and its situation, are afraid to speak. That's why hip hop is so important. Because, as you may have already detected, we are not afraid to speak and speak our minds and take it to the level of saying nature improves upon itself. Therefore, the old revolutionaries and ways in which that they were knocked out of society is no more. There are new wars and techniques going on. You're not going to see any more assassinations and all of that. That's archaic. There's new ways to knock people off these days. And you got to be up on all of them. But nature perfects itself. And if your consciousness is one with that, then you know what the new ways are. Hip hop is one of the new ways. Hip hop, imagine what this thing has done. I'm gonna get back to citizenship in a minute. But look at what hip hop has done here. 40 million people in this country are eligible to vote. It's a hip hop vote that equals 40 million people. We are 100 million consumers of products. Fashion alone is $3 billion industry, $3 billion, hip-hop fashion. The record industry used to be $3 billion, it's down to about $1 billion now because the music industry collapsed due to its irresponsibility, internet, mixtapes, and so on. But I mention this because we're at such a pivotal point in American history. And if we don't realize it, we're gonna miss out on a great opportunity. And here it is, if I could just take you into the deeper part of this conversation now. This is the opportunity that we have. Hip hop is the physical manifestation of the Martin Luther King I Have a Dream speech. Nowhere else do you see that speech manifested in real life, but in hip hop. Every other ethnicity, race, so on, they all have a problem. Haitians got problems with Haitians, and Haitians got problems with Jamaicans, and Jamaicans don't like Trinidadians, and Trinidadians don't like and the Chinese, man. Look at the Japanese, and the Japanese with the Koreans, and the Koreans with the Vietnamese, and the Tibetan with the Chinese. And I can go through every single nationality. Everybody got a problem. Except for this community called hip-hop. Except for the hip-hop community. For some reason, in this community, your race, your religion, your class means nothing. What really means something is your actual skill and character. Who are you as a person? Imagine the hip-hop community has overcome the idea of race, and America still struggles with it. Imagine how advanced we are, really, when a 400-year-old country still can't get it together. Races of people still can't get it together. Classes of people still can't get it together. But hip-hop presents a model of a community that all the philosophers and activists have discussed up to this point. Do the research, look around. Look around. Some of you might not remember the 1970s. Yeah. But let me remind you. The 1970s, I mean, you do have a mainstream history of the 1970s, and it is what it is. And that history is, Jimmy Carter and Reaganomics, and take it right into the 80s and all that. It's all good. But hip-hop has a slightly different take on the 70s history. We always seem to get things first. because you may watch it on television, but there are real effects to what CNN is reporting. And I'm one of these people who was from a generation called X. Generation X. Imagine your whole generation with an X on it. Imagine that. I grew up in a time where we would go to school and we would see on the school wall, this is a balanced breakfast approved by the FDA. And on there, it would be bacon, eggs, cheese, milk, toast, cereal. And this was a balanced breakfast. Bacon, eggs, toast, all at the same time. You don't remember the posters? There used to be these posters, and they used to show you what a balanced meal looked like. And I tell you this, a little surface metaphysics here. We wanted that meal. We wanted that meal. We wanted to eat that meal right there, and we couldn't. Come to find out, that meal was the leading cause of heart disease. And just as a side note, you know, I don't know how religious you people are. I don't know about spirituality. I don't know. But I'll just tell you this from my own experience. You know, sometimes the things you don't have and the places you don't go are actually saving your life. You know, right now, some of you are denied certain things, and you're like, man, I really wanted that. I wanted this to happen, and you were denied. And just as a side note, consider the fact that the things you don't have, don't get, the places you can't go, they may also be saving your life. And so I mention that as a sidebar because in school, we're watching what the balanced meal is. And we wanted to eat that meal, we just couldn't afford to. And most of the people that could afford to eat that meal suffered because of it. And it's a sad situation because we had no choice but to be us. Imagine we were in desperate poverty. Nothing. There's a movie called Wild Style. You need to, I'm going to enter this into the record. Wild Style is a movie called Wild Style that you should watch this movie academically. And you should look at the scenery of Wild Style. That is exactly what the Bronx looked like in the early 70s. So it's a very accurate depiction of what the Bronx looked like in the 1970s. And I mention this because this is something you're gonna have to know as college students or just as people in life in general. Hip hop, message number 2, first message, keep it real with yourself. Don't front for nobody. But here's message 2, right here, right here. We had nothing. How did we give ourselves value? This is what everybody breezes over. This is what MTV and BET is just, they just can't seem to focus on this point right here. Sure, the music sounds hot and the clothes and the da-da-da and all that. Yeah, sure, but what was the thinking that went into the creation of hip hop? What was the origin of the mechanics, the combination? What were the A, B, C, D? What was the 1 + 1 that equaled the 2? This is what we need to know. And I'll tell you right now what it is. The essence. First, I'm gonna be me, even if it means I'm going to jail tonight. I'm gonna be me, even if it means I'm gonna be dead in the street tomorrow morning. I'm gonna be me, even if it means I have to come to Reed College. I'm gonna be me. One way or the other, I'm gonna be me. That's rule number 1, right there. The road to success, you cannot be happy and successful if when you become successful, you are not you. Be you. number one. Number two, go back to that sign on the wall. We, young kids, poverty, the mainstream rejected us. They showed us a meal and told us we couldn't eat it. They said, here's a picture of the meal you ain't gonna eat. That was wild. Here's a picture in all the public schools of a meal you never get. So we're wishing for this meal, and suddenly we realize this. Oh man, you know what? We don't even want the meal now. Oh, that's how it happened. This is how I'm gonna tell you right now. Y'all need to write it down, because I know y'all doing books. First it was, man, I really wish I could get into that meal. Really wish I had that bacon and eggs and milk and cheese and yeah, I really wish I had. Can I get a piece of that? Can I? No, okay, I'll come back next week. Yeah, okay. Do this, right? Do that, right? Now, jump through that, right? Do it, okay, you know. Yeah, can I get a piece now? No, still, no, wow. Yeah, I really would like the piece of that meal. I'd really like to get in. I'd really like to be part of the mainstream. I really want to, you know, sit next to the president, hear me. You know, I really want to be involved. I want to participate. That's what my parents told me, you know, civil rights movement, black folk, you know, we trying to be down, you know, we trying to be part, you know, integration, you know, yeah, come on, you know. And so, you know, here we are, and I'm trying to get in. I want to get in, you know. We said we were doing this integration thing. I want to get in, but I keep getting rejected. Every time I try to get in, you're pushing me out for these weird reasons. And, you know, and so now, about 10 years of that's all it was about 10 years. We now wind up over here. And now the attitude is, well, look, whenever you want to get down, you know, we over here. You know, whenever you want to invite us in, we over here. You know, it's all good. Wait, another 10 years. Then it gets to the point, you know what? Keep all your bacon and eggs and cheese. Keep it all. We don't even want it no more. As a matter of fact, it's corny. This sparked an intelligence. Now imagine, first it was, can I be down? We all sound like Brandy. I wanna be down with what you're going through. We wanted to be down. We got rejected, shut out, can't be down, doors shut for you. Y'all ain't getting down with nothing. Now we over here saying, you know what? We're gonna do our own thing. Oh, here's where the party started right here. We said we're gonna do our own thing. 1972, a guy named Cool DJ Herc starts playing in the Bronx. Now, I'm 7 years old in 1972, and I'm in the Bronx. I lived in this place called 1600 Sedgwick Avenue in the Bronx, and there was a park, and there was another building, tenement, like projects building, called 1520 Sedgwick Avenue in the Bronx. It was all Sedgwick Avenue. I lived 1600, Cool DJ Herc lived 1520 on Sedgwick Avenue. In the middle, there was a park. So at the request of his sister Cindy, one day, it was Cindy's birthday, so Cindy asked that Cool Herc comes out to this park and start playing records. Well now, 1972, James Brown is the biggest thing going on in the ghetto, probably in America, period, but in the black and Latino and poor white areas, James Brown was the absolute ruler, no question about it. Along with Sly and the Family Stone, others like the Watts Poets, the Last Poets, Gil Scott-Heron, the I3, I mean, it goes on and on. There was a clique of music that was speaking out against the Vietnam War, speaking up for workers' rights, voting rights, women's rights. I mean, there was a music that went with the movement. And that music, James Brown used to put his foot in it every once in a while, because James Brown did all kinds of music, but he was really big with the whole Black Power movement started by Kwame Ture, better known as Stokely Carmichael. But anyway, Cool DJ Herc would be playing James Brown's music. Now here's how it started right here. There'd be a turntable, right? Now every DJ before Cool Herc was called a D.J. disc jockey. The disc jockey put the record on the turntable and rode or spoke over the front and the back of the record. That's why it was called a disc jockey, someone who rides the disc. And so he would ride the front. Well, this was Elvis Presley, blue suede shoes or whatever. The record would play, oh, that was Elvis Presley, Love Me Tender, and the record would go off. That's a disc jockey. That's how DJing was done since the turntable was invented. Cool DJ Herc said, but wait. What we're gonna do here is, first of all, we're only playing James Brown. That's number one. Now, and see, look at your minds already. We're only playing James Brown because James Brown has breaks in his records, breaks. And so he would put the record on and keep dropping the needle, dropping the needle. The record would go, a 1, 2, 3, 4, hit it, boom, boom, bop, boom, 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 bop. Cool Herc would lift the needle up and drop it back at the original point where the break of the record started. Now let me just stop here for a minute. A record usually begins with a slow rise, and it goes up, most of James Brown records, and they rise to a climax part of the singing and the music, and then the singer stops singing and the music continues on. That is called the break of a song. I just had to say that. Now, at that climactic part of the song, the break would go, and James Brown would sing, wow, 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 I want to bust the flow, I want to, 1, 2, 3, 4, hit it, boom, boom, bop, 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 bop. Cool Herc would pick up the needle, drop it again. 1, 2, 3, 4, hit it, boom, boom, bop, 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 boom, boom. 1, 2, 3, 4, hit it, boom, boom, bop, boom, boom. 2, 3, 4, hit it, boom, boom, bop, boom. 2, 3, 4, hit it, boom, boom. This would go on for hours. Hours. This would be going on in the park, outside, in the park. Cool Herc would be dropping this needle on the break. Us little 7 and 8 and 9-year-olds used to come outside and beg our mothers to go see Cool Herc out in the park because he was playing music. And so we would go out in the park and we would combine James Brown's dance steps with what was then popular capoeira martial arts. And you gotta see what capoeira martial arts looks like. It has a lot of moves that you would recognize as breakdancing or breaking. We would focus on James Brown and capoeira martial arts moves. And because we would only dance to the breaks of Cool Herc, we were then called break dancers because we danced to the breaks of Cool DJ Herc. Break dancers. Our little made-up freestyle dance was called break dancing. But we weren't just break dancers or breakers. We called ourselves B-boys, B-girls, because we danced to the breaks. We only danced to the breaks. And the only person who would dance to the breaks was also part of a larger community of graffiti artists, martial artists, people who study karate and stuff like that. A lot of community stuff, jump rope people, part of a whole community of jump rope people. You was always part of your little clique. But I mention this because 1972,
Kool Herc is dropping this needle and creating this audience. Why? Because he wasn't afraid to be him. Let me tell you what the fear was. First of all, I don't know if y'all know if you've been to New York or whatever, but we have these, the street light in New York. They're all over New York, the street lights. Well, at the base of the street light, it's like a base like this. And so what we would do is knock out the face of the base of the street light, and it would fall off. You could do it with a sledgehammer or whatever. And you knock the base out of the street light, immediately we were illegal, and we would pull out the fuse. Back then, the street lights all were on fuses. They probably still are, all on fuses. So we would unscrew the fuse that was in the street light, put it on the side, and put in a light switch. There used to be these lights that you could screw into a light socket, and it had 2 outlets and a place where you could put a light like that. You could usually, it's like a workman's light thing. So we used to take that, put that into the light pole. The light used to go out. That made it dark and gloomy. And we had power. We had city power all night. We would have those 2 plugs come out. So those 2 plugs would be firing up these whole systems in the playground, thousands of watts of equipment going. The cops would come by, of course. There's no license. They didn't know this was gonna go on. And then when they trace to see, but where is this power coming from? Well, now, the power is coming straight out of the city. And there was even some argument when Mayor Koch was mayor of New York about how the city power was already ours because we were taxpayers, and so that we had all the right to take city power if we needed it. These were some of the early arguments going on that weren't really recorded, and hopefully a book will be done later on. Either I'll write it or y'all gonna have to write it, but somebody gonna have to write the real story of what really went down in urban communities and government, what really happened, sort of like a people's history of the United States, but for the 70s, 80s, and 90s. But I mentioned this, 1972, Kool DJ Herc is needle dropping. He creates the hip hop community. Every time he goes out to play his music, the cops are coming to arrest him. Every time. He's going back and forth to jail. As a matter of fact, he's just walking into jail now. Hey, hi, Sergeant. Hey, Herc, how you doing? Another good party, right? Yeah, well, I'll be sitting over here in the cell. It got really that's how common it was. See, I noticed speeding up a little bit in the mid 80, anywhere between 85 and 95, there was this period where these Boys in the Hood and Juice and Menace to Society films were coming out. And one of the shocking things that used to shock me about people was that they didn't know that this was going on. That was shocking to me. You don't know the Bloods and the Crips? That's like David Koppel and Cuddy Chung. I mean, that's you don't know. But the truth of the matter is that no, they didn't know. And we was living in our own world. 1972, we used to huddle around the breaks of Kool Herc. Then the gang culture was huge back then, but nothing like you see today. And not to diss the gangs of today, but it was nothing like it was back in the 70s. Black Panthers, Black Spade, Savage Nomads, Young Skulls, Savage Skulls. These were gangs that policed the community. They were modeled after the Black Panther Party. After the Black Panther success, everybody had a Black Panther Party. And it turned out to be like a gang kind of thing. But the gangs would be the ones that made sure you stayed in school, that you didn't write graffiti on the church, that you wasn't disrespectful to your moms. That's what the gang member did back in the 70s. I remember when we was trying to play hooky from school, we didn't care about the cop. The cop would drive by you. He didn't care, whatever. The gang member would be the one you did not want to run into. That was the last, 12:30 in the afternoon, you 11 years old walking around. Nah, You really didn't want to meet them anywhere. But I mention that because there was a guy named Lance called Freight Train. And Lance went to Africa on a trip. And he met an African an African king, a Zulu king. And this Zulu king became so fond of Lance that he named him a Zulu chief. He said, "You are a Zulu chief. You are an honorary Zulu chief of the Zulu nation." Lance goes back to New York in the Bronx, 1974, 75, really 73, 74, really. He goes back to the Bronx and creates this organization called Zulu Nation. And the significance of Zulu Nation is that they took the hip-hop community that Kool Herc had established and added principles to it, which means that now the first thing Africa Bambaataa did was he said, in hip-hop, there are no races, there are no class of people. We don't even need all of that. It's not necessary. This is who we are. If you know how to break, MC, DJ, do graffiti art, or if you just keeping it real with yourself, you can stand here. Oh, that opened the door up to the whole New York City. Because keep in mind, hip hop was just in the Bronx. That's it. Not Brooklyn, not Manhattan, not Queens. It was just in the Bronx. When Africa Bambaataa in 1974, I'll say, established Zulu Nation and said hip-hop is a community. And the first thing it is a colorless community. It's a community of consciousness. And then Africa Bambaataa said, and that community of consciousness rests on peace, love, unity, and having fun. This was the original concepts of hip-hop. Peace, love, unity, and having fun. A colorless society of people surrounded on those principles. That's 1974, 75, around them areas. So that then united us. Now hip hop became self-conscious. We actually was walking around going, peace, love, unity, and having fun. It's a big record. Actually, Africa Bambaataa and James Brown would do a record like that for Tommy Boy Records years later. Africa Bambaataa would also put out a song called Planet Rock, in which his vision, we know what place where the lights are hot, and so on. But anyway, his Planet Rock was that the whole world, that hip hop, his vision was that hip hop would go all over the world and teach people to live beyond whatever their hang up was. And so in 1975-ish, hip hop is self-conscious. 1976, 77, you get a guy called Joseph Sadler, who's a certified electrician, by the way. He's walking through the Bronx, and he's trying to figure out, how do we keep the break playing forever? Every time all DJs are needle dropping, they dropping the needle on the record. That's the hot new way to mix. People are getting money like this, parties are packed. This is what's happening. If you know how to needle drop, you is the man. Or woman, if you mention Wanda D. She was one of the first female DJs in our history. But anyway, so Joseph Sadler's walking through the Bronx, and he picks up a mic toggle switch. There's a switch that goes on and off. It turns microphones on and off. He takes it and rewires it so that the on and the off becomes right and left. He takes this little mic toggle switch and connects one turntable to one side of it, another turntable to another side of it, rewired the on and off to be right and left, and the first mixer was created by Grandmaster Flash, DJ Grandmaster Flash. Every mixer that you see in the stores is stolen. Every one. There's never been a patent for the mixer, never. DJ Flash invented that concept of two turntables going back and forth, and what he was trying to do was improve upon Kool Herc's needle dropping. And so he did. He said, well, now, I never even have to touch the needle. I can just cue up one record over here while this one is on, this one is off. But I can hear it through headphones. I can cue it up, and when I'm ready to let the record go, I let the record go and turn it on so everybody can hear it. And when I flip that switch, this one comes on and that one turns off. Ingenious. Grandmaster Flash would go through New York City like gasoline, like you couldn't imagine the frenzy. Some of you that remember the 70s and early 80s will remember the frenzy. Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five, the whole H.E.A.L Records label that was started with new invention. This is what's not discussed when you discuss hip hop. They want to discuss rappers' lyrics and deceased rappers' lyrics at that. I have no problem with that, but that's not hip hop. Hip hop is Grandmaster Flash right here, inventing the mixer and never making a patent for it, just trying to improve upon Kool Herc. He then goes further. And as he can hear in his headphones, as he's queuing up the record, he can hear the record going back and forth. Just like that. Going back and forth. So Grandmaster Flash doesn't let you hear the reverse, the record being pulled back. Grandmaster Flash just cuts. Cut. He just only gives you the opening of the sound, open, that's it. You don't hear the record coming back when you hear a DJ Flash mix. But DJ Flash had a younger protege named Grand Wizard Theodore, who was too lazy to do this. So he went ahead and kept the on button on and just went back and forth. So in our history, Grandmaster Flash is credited with inventing cutting, and Grand Wizard Theodore is credited with inventing scratching. But scratching is just a lazy cut. And so when that happened, when technology was created, and these techniques with the technology was created, this is where we started to get value from. Now, mind you, first it was, can I be down? No, get out of here. Your whole generation is an X. We say, okay, we're gonna do our own thing. Now that we over here doing our own thing, we're creating our own little world. Something as insignificant as dropping a needle at the break point of a record. I mean, think about this, what does he call it? Critical thinking? Is that what it is? Apply your critical thinking to this. Look at what hip hop has done to the American pop culture. Just look at what it's done today. And take that all the way back to some broke, poor, poverty-stricken, uneducated bunch of black and Latinos and whites from day one. And we sitting around in our own world, because we get rejected. And we create something that all nationalities can get with, empowers all people. If you know how to do it, or if you have the mind to understand hip hop, you raise your value. You raise your self-worth. That's the importance of hip hop. Not whether I can rhyme or not, or break or cut, but that if you do these things, you are part of a billion-dollar industry that all you gotta do is go to some part in the world where that's not happening, and you'll be a billionaire. This is the beauty in my life. When I was 14, I left home. The consequences. Yes, thank you. And when I was 14, I left home. I wasn't an abused child. I was a poor child, but everybody was. I wasn't an abused child, none of that. I had no hard home life and, this kind of thing, thank God, It was cool, but I got to a point one day where I said, you know what, Ma? I want to be an MC. And it's not like today if somebody says, I want to be an MC, I want to be a rapper, at least your mother can point to something. Oh, you going to be like LL Cool J, honey? Like, you have something to point to. In 1977, 79, like around them areas, there was nothing to point to. There was no rap. There was nothing. We used to just do it in the park. And I used to be one of the guys in the park. And back then, I wasn't even a rapper. I was a graffiti artist, actually. And so I said, I'm going to be an MC, Ma. I'm going to be an MC. She couldn't see it, couldn't understand it. She said, well, you ain't going to be an MC in this house. So I said, well, then that's the consequences now, isn't it? And I left at 14 and a half, almost 15. I left home. And I lived on the streets of New York for many years as a homeless person. Just like any other homeless person you would see in the street. Except I never belittled myself with a squeegee. Like standing up next to people's cars. I remember when I was homeless, I used to laugh at those people. I mean, the amount of churches and charities and things going on. I mean, and of course, I was in New York. So in New York, I mean, you walk 2-3 blocks, it was a church trying to give you clothes and food. And it's still like that even now. I mean, to see somebody like on the corner. Anyway, you know what? I'm going off. The point, though, is that I decided to take that consequence and say, look, for my vision, for my goal, for what I'm trying to achieve, the consequences is that I'm going to have to leave my family alone. My mom's, who I love very much. But it comes to this point where, what's it going to be? Do I have the courage to be me? And that courage at that moment meant I got to leave home because there's no way you can understand what this is about. I knew it. And so I left and I pursued my goal and my dream. And I lived in the street and it wasn't easy. It was very difficult. But my dream kept me alive, kept me going. That focus, that vision. Imagine in 1985, I was visualizing this moment right here. That's the whole point. That's the secret right there. That's it right there. I was homeless, riding the E and the F train up and down from Queens to Coney Island and visualizing, saying, you know what, I'm going to be a rapper one day. Yeah, I'm going to be doing tours and stuff. I'm going to be talking to universities and stuff. For real. And here I am. And the point of the matter is that it's really that simple. It's get rid of the fear. Get rid of that first. I'm going to be me. See, this is where you divide the dividing line between fear that is a real fear, a real threat to your safety, and those little fears that they're not real fears. They're just these little setbacks of your own mind. The way you separate or differentiate between which is which is any fear that prevents you from your purpose is not real. Again, any fear that prevents you from fulfilling your purpose is not real. Because your purpose is the only thing that is real in your life. Your purpose is what is real. That's what's real. All this other stuff is not real. These are the effects. All of this, everything, me, my name, my this, my that. All of it's an effect. What's the real point? What you here to do? Who am I really? What am I doing? Is it, who are you? I am what I'm doing. You could say you this, that, and the other, but who you are really is what you're doing. So you got to really think about what you're doing. because what you're doing is defining you. And if what you're doing is not really you, you're on the path to self-destruction right there. Right there. This is the essence of hip hop. I gave you a little bit of the history: Kool Herc, Bam, Flash, Grand Wizard Theodore. You can go on with Run DMC. You come up to, in 1983, you come up to my era at 86 and the battles and all of that kind of stuff. But here's the essence. Here's the essence right here. First, I have the courage to be me. Second, I'm the one that gives me value. Anybody giving me value. I give me value. I give me value. I don't need that over there. I don't envy that anymore. I learned that when we envied the mainstream, we stayed broke. When we stopped envying the mainstream, we got rich. A lesson. I don't know how religious you are or how spiritual you may get, but envy costs money. I don't know, we don't have to go through all the morality and all that. It's not necessary. Envy is the seat of poverty. Wanting what someone else has sets up your poverty right there. I want something that I don't have. You wouldn't be poor if you didn't want. But here's the point. Everybody wants something. Even not to want is a want. So let's be clear with what we want. Many of us don't even know what we want. We're just going. Where you going? I don't know. What you doing? I don't know. I'm just going. At some point, you gotta say, wait a minute. What is the meaning of me? What do I mean? What is the meaning of me? I mean, you really gotta look at that. What is the meaning of me? How do I say my name every day? This is hip hop 101. First thing you learn is how to say your name in hip hop. Nobody says their name. My name is MCB. Say, yo, man, what's your name, man? My name is DJ Rob. There has to be some kind of spirit in yourself to get up. And this is the second point about value. Value. You gotta have some kind of spirit in yourself that says, you know what? I am all that. A lot of people are afraid to say that. You know what? I am all that. You know what? I do deserve that. Because a lot of opportunities pass us by, not because they don't come, but because we believe we don't deserve them. And we say, oh, let Sally go ahead and get it. Oh, let David go ahead. Oh, let Mike go ahead. Oh, let the go ahead. That's not hip hop. Hip hop is, hey, listen, Sally, you my girl and all, but you know what? You know what my purpose is, right? Right, okay, we're gonna do this. I'm getting this. This opportunity is coming by. You down with me, we chill, it's all love. But I will fulfill my purpose, and it's not selfish. I'm just clear with what I'm here to do. And no external thing is gonna stop me from getting where I gotta go. Nothing external. Nothing. Friends, nobody. Nothing. External should stop you from where you gotta go. This is the essence right here. But what do? You're gonna go back on spring break, go back home. Go back around your block. They're gonna say, yo, look at Johnny. Johnny just came back from read college. He think he all that. Look, Johnny. He don't eat what we eat no more. He don't talk like us no more. Johnny ain't down with us. And what happens? What does Johnny do? Johnny goes home and goes, you know what, right, I passed all my exams. I'm doing very well in school. I kind of like the school, as a matter of fact. You know, I can see myself getting my degree and coming up, but you know what? I'm going to turn all that down. Diminish my achievement, diminish my life, turn down my purpose so that I can hang out with your ignorant ass. I'm gonna leave behind all the work that I just did to go back around my block, and so that I can fit in, I turn my light down. They don't turn their light up. I turn my light down so that I can fit in with ignorance. And ignorance in a respectful way. Because first thing we say in hip hop, first of all, is if I have a skill in something, I'm gonna let you know I have the skill. A lot of people don't do that. They say they spend years in college. A lot of my friends are PhDs, believe that. And they spend all these years in college and they get their PhD and then they hide it. It's like you get the degree and then you say, well, it ain't nothing. It is something. In hip hop, you give us a degree, we put it on a t-shirt. We'll be like this. What? And I don't care who like it, who don't like it, who don't whatever, this is me. You're not supposed to dim your light, ever. You're not supposed to deter your purpose for other people and their fears. My intelligence, my education offends you or makes you afraid. Wow, I'm sorry to hear that. And this is the point right here. Get that spirit about yourself. This is what hip hop offers in the midst of the music and the language and all of this different stuff. These are the effects. These are all the effects. But the cause, the essence of what this movement really is, the essence is we're gonna be us. And we're gonna be us no matter what. And we have to be us because we either be us or we die. It's one or the other. The only way to really express my freedom is for me to be me. And this is the underlining question, last point. Remember, value. Bring value to yourself. Don't wait for no validation. You're valuable right now. And in hip hop, with your skill, and it goes for anywhere, really. It's just a philosophy, really. It's really lived out in hip hop, but in life, if you are the best at what you do, tell people you are. If you're the best at what you do, I'm the best. You'll get the job. Oh, you can believe I've done corporate life for a large period of my recording life. I was head of A&R for Warner Brothers, as a matter of fact. I was one of the top 5 executives of Time Warner. I mean, top 500, sorry. It's bugging. They had 500 up in a room giving out awards. It was so nice. But I mention that because we have these preconceived notions as to what the corporate world is like as well. What is life like after you get out of college? What is it really gonna be like? Well, this is the importance of hip hop, because look past the glamour and the glitz that you see on television. Look past that and look and see that that person is keeping it real with themselves. No matter how wild it looks on television, there are people just like you and me behind every single rap artist you see on television, just like you and me. And that person doesn't, every day they walking around with 2 guns in their head. No, at some point, you got to sit down in a board meeting with your rag on your head and your throwback jersey. And you got to sit down in a board meeting and be like, you know what? I don't like that shit. And you got to be able to say and get your point across. And let me tell you, the one that knows they're good at what they do and then can prove it, that's the one that wins in the corporate world. And that illusion about you gotta toe the line and this, that, and the other, it's an illusion. The CEOs of today, young CEOs coming in today, the attitude is, first, I'm gonna perfect my skill. I'm not gonna say nothing until I'm nice with mine. Or for those that aren't bilingual, I'm not gonna say nothing until I'm a specialist at what I do. And then, when I am actually a specialist at what I'm doing, when I am the man at what I'm doing, then I go around and say, you know what? I know you got a lot of resumes on your desk, but look, I can get that done in half the time. It's gonna cost you a little more, but let me show you my work. Blah! And you show them the work right there. Oh, man. And anybody in your field should be able to jump back off that like, whoa. This is what my message would be to America, to every American in this country, everyone in college really as well. We have to kill, this generation here has to kill apathy in this country. We have to kill it. Kill it. Kill it. It gotta go. That gotta go. Because I tell you this, all this, you got all the terrorism and the Terrorist Watch and the Patriot Act and all of this kind of stuff. I mean, America, we are America. You know what I'm saying? And I say that in this way, that people who are terrorists against the United States or want to, fight the United States for whatever reason, these people study the population of the United States. They know where these bombs are supposed to go off at to get the most effect, to get the most damage done, this, that, and the other. And they also know who is sympathetic to their cause. They also know who is not with their cause. I mean, they know you have to plan these attacks, and you got to know who your enemy is, and you got to hit, and that's war. I mention this to you because I could rest assured, I could tell you right now that I'm quite sure that members of Al-Qaeda, for instance, have copies of my album. Oh yeah, I could have probably imagined, probably got a whole bunch of other people too. As well. They're not separate from us. And if terrorism is to really end in this country, it's not going to end politically or diplomatically or militarily. It's going to happen with a change in a person's heart. The actual attitude, the collective identity of the United States has to transform. The collective identity. This, and I'm going to say some controversial stuff right here because I only speak the real. But I'm going to say this, that, this is the mightiest nation on earth, not because of its military, but because of us, just us. Not because of a military, not because of diplomacy and this, that, and the other. It's because of the style of person that America produces. That style of person is admired all over the world, all over the world. People admire Americans. People send their families here to get wealth and education and medical needs. The world admires America, really. What the problem is, America's facing the same problem we hip-hoppers faced a few years ago with Tupac and Biggie. Here you have George Bush and his family, and you have Osama bin Laden and his family and all them Arabs over there. Now, they got the problem, them. But the whole United States gotta suffer for it. Same thing with hip hop. Death Row and Bad Boy had a problem, but the whole hip hop culture had to suffer for it. But the problem ended when two of the culprits of the problem was killed. The problem is America's facing the same problem we hip-hoppers faced a few years ago with Tupac and Biggie. Here you have George Bush and his family, and you have Osama bin Laden and his family and all them Arabs over there. Now, they got the problem, them. But the whole United States gotta suffer for it. Same thing with hip hop. Death Row and Bad Boy had a problem, but the whole hip hop culture had to suffer for it. But the problem ended when two of the culprits of the problem was killed. Now, I'm not suggesting anything. I'm just saying, though, that we have to keep it real. Does America have a problem, or does a certain administration have a problem? And see, I am not an apologist or critic for either of anybody, I have a whole nother philosophy altogether, but I will say this before this audience responsibly. There are no terrorist threats, really. America creates the terrorists. They get out of hand. We don't know what to do. Study history and really know this country is playing a game with the American people's head. It's not this world international conspiracy. Every country is pointing at America like this. That's what they want you to believe, that for some reason we all under attack. No, we all ain't under attack. You are under attack. That's what the American people have to figure out. You are not under attack. You put yourself in harm's way when you side up with those who are under attack. This is the truth according to hip hop. I can go further with this because this is a call to your responsibility. This country has to make it. This is the greatest experiment on earth. E pluribus unum, out of many, one. That's the experiment. Take it or leave it. That's what it means to be in America. Yes, indeed. This is what it means to be here in America. It means that you're part of the making of a superhuman. It started all the way back in Egypt. Do some research. We are some of the greatest, I would say we are the greatest people on earth, but that would be racist and this kind of thing to say. But I'll tell you this though, America produced me. And when I look around, I go to other countries and they want me to stay there and citizenship and all that. I'm like, yo, man, I gotta go home. But the point is that there is a truth, and the truth is that we are admired by the world. We are not hated by the world. This is the biggest misconception. If I could just say something to you right here that will affect you into the future. Arabs are not against us and all that. That's all propaganda. People are working, trying to survive and live. That's what America is all about. People are trying to get to where they're going. I'll tell you what the real problem is. 4 million people have no jobs. 4 million people out of work. And that's the new number compounded on the number that we were experiencing already. We already had a number. Some 2-3 million unemployed young black males. Nobody talking about that number. We just piled on top of that number now. 4 million. People out of work. out of work. This country is so ripe for violent revolution right now. That's the real problem. The real problem is you let more people be out of work than people that are in work. And you have a real situation, a real national situation on your hands. We are living in some dramatic times. I mean, we are in dramatic times. You should be writing stuff, you should be collecting stuff, because it's all gonna go away. It comes in seasons. Comes in seasons, you know, World War I, World War II, Vietnam War, da, 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 da. And it goes up and down, up and down. Peace will come again. It's inevitable. Peace will come again to this country. Prosperity will come again to this country. It is inevitable. But what is also inevitable are these times, when the people that we put in power due to apathy, we weren't paying attention. We weren't paying attention. The people have to realize that they're the ones putting these people in power. How can you complain? I mean, I say this to my black brothers and sisters all the time, and I say it in that way, sarcastically. Because I say all the time, how can we complain about a country that we are participating in? It's either like, it's such a backwards kind of thought. It's like, you know, reparations for African Americans because of slavery and everything that has gone on. But slavery made the United States that we are participating from. So we are our own slaves and slave masters in that argument. We are participating in the very system we say is ripping us off. The only solution, of course, is to stop participating. But I don't know how many black leaders really want to stop participating. And so that whole argument becomes stupid as far as hip hop is concerned. We are more with, we got our own thing. I have no reason to critique anybody. Even with when our community is faced with tough situations with law enforcement, police officer messes up, gets in trouble, our community is up in arms, this, that, and the other. First thing I always say, because they always call me, hey Chris, what you got to say? Hey KRS-One, we need a statement. And the first thing always comes right out. When are we going to govern ourselves? Why is it always that we got to point the finger? He beat me. He stole from me. They doing this to me. But we are still not in governance of ourselves. And this is what the American people have to consider themselves. Every man and woman should know how to govern themselves. Before you point the finger at a president and say, the president is the reason the economy is the way it is, check your own economy first. How would you run your country's economy? The same way you run your economy, your individual economy, is closest to the way you would run the nation's economy. This is a fact. The justice you dispel onto your friends is the type of justice you would dispense in Supreme Court. The question is not, this one is wrong and that one needs to do. They have no power over you. A president has power over you. How? How can it be? That's not even law, and it's not even reality. The reality is, we have power unto ourselves. The question is, are you free or have you been freed? If you are free, then you speak freely. You don't need a constitution to grant you that right. You agree that I'm glad that the Constitution agrees with the right of me speaking freely. I'm glad that me and the Constitution are in agreement with that. But I was going to speak freely, whether that document existed or not. See, the difference here is I am free or I have been freed. My existence is based on someone else's validation. If I have the right to do it, I don't move unless I have the right. I don't move unless the state told me I could. I don't move unless it's some kind of law, some kind of ordinance. I can't move. I don't have meaning unless something external from myself defines me. I am freed. I am not free, because to be free, there are consequences to that. I would like to be freed. I must stay here under law and under my rights and under all of that, and I'm not going to make a move in no other direction unless I'm told that I can. Now, some people are like that, and you should be, if that's you, keep it real with yourself. But some of us are free. The state cannot tell you who to marry. Some of us are free. We should not be even looking for the state's approval of what we do for ourselves, personally or otherwise. Yes. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Is the question and answer mic set up? It's over here, okay. The question is, are we free or have we been freed? And this is the closing point. Because raising your self-value, keeping it real with yourself, it all comes down to this meaning of your life. Am I free? Am I really free? Because to be free and be me, there are consequences to that. And am I courageous enough to deal with the consequences so that I may be me, for better or for worse? This is it right here, ladies and gentlemen. This is it. The question of life right here. What do I mean? Because if I don't know the meaning of me, then whenever I become successful, I'm not going to enjoy it. I'm not going to know the meaning of that either. I extend that thought to the whole of the United States as well. You people, me, all of us, as citizens, we got to begin to take that seriously. I mean, seriously. We are born out of a generation of apathetic individuals, and for good reason. For good reason. I mean, if you was born anywhere in between from Nixon on, you have no trust in government. And why should you? Why should you? The proof is right there. But here's why you should have trust in your government. Because you are the government. Don't get it twisted. Knowledge is the government. Those that know walk through this society with that power. I learned quickly. I told you when I first came here, I said I'm very privileged to have come up this far in Oregon. I mean, I'm in Portland, Oregon. This is cool. I mean, I'm from Brooklyn, man. The Bronx. My environment is completely different. But I stayed true to my purpose. And this is what the difficult part is going to be for all of you as well. Keep it real with yourself. Whatever you're studying right now, keep it real with you. Don't be a freed student. Be a free student. Whether the professor shows up to the class or not, I'm coming here to learn. No one has to tell me to go to class. I am free. The university, I could care less whether the university offers knowledge or not. I'm going to get educated in these four walls. No one has to coax me along. No one has to tell me to go to class. No one has to give me a trinket so that I could get to class. These philosophies in hip-hop go across race, class, occupation. Apply them anywhere in your life. Anywhere in your life, and you'll be successful. Remember this last point, 30 seconds. Remember this last point right here. Whatever you visualize, whatever you pray for, whatever you desire in your heart, it's not what you say out your mouth that will come to you. It's the desire of your heart. It's who you are. You get who you are. what is happening in your life, you are doing it to yourself. You are in complete control of your situation. You give that control up when you don't know who you really are. When you know who you really are, and what is that? My purpose. That is who I am. I am what I'm doing. And what am I doing? My purpose. Anything that is not my purpose, but I'm doing it, is insanity on my part. Now, you're allowed to be a little crazy sometimes. Of course, you got to deviate from the purpose, but know what your purpose is. What is the meaning of me? We are not just doing hip hop, we are hip hop. Thanks for listening to me today. Thank you. Thank you. Any more CDs? Thank you. Where's the rest of the CDs? The rest of the CDs. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. I guess we'll just go straight into Q&A. I wanted to take some pictures and hang out for a minute before I left. Those who are leaving, thanks for coming out. And indeed, I think there's a mic right here. If some of the organizers could help me out. There's a microphone right here. We'll try to keep our questions and our answers as short as possible. Afterwards, I think I will be signing copies of my new book. It's called Ruminations, and maybe I can get a copy of it up here. Later on.
All right, can I ask a
I'm
question?
also handing out copies of my new album. Yeah, let me get a few. Actually, just give them to the front row. Yeah, please. Just while everyone is still moving around as well, I just released this book called Ruminations. It's in every bookstore as well. In about a month, it'll be online as well. You could go to templeofhiphop.org. That is templeofhiphop.org. You could read this book at your leisure there. In about a month, it'll be on. Right now, it's in every bookstore out. It's called Rumination, a collection of ideas and so on. And different from all other books, not all of the books, but some books, it comes with a CD of collected lectures that I've done over time. It's introed, the CD is introed by Dr. Cornel West, and the foreword here is written by Tavis Smiley. A very important book for you to get in the understanding of hip hop and urban culture in particular during these times. I also am handing out copies of my new album. It's called Keep Right. And this album comes out June 1st. This album comes out. I only want computer hackers and MP3 people to get copies. The point is to spread the word. If you get an album, share it with others as well. We believe that music should be free. So please, make sure, and just so you guys know, I mean, we didn't discuss it much, but just so you guys know, that is our philosophy, that music should be free, that we don't own music. You know, I do music from the time it comes from the minute I record it in the studio, I would give away all the copies, really. I think what you should be paying for when it comes to CDs is the packaging, the DVD that's inside, if a CD comes with that. In 2004, we've gotten to a point where we don't need to sell the public music. What we need to sell the public is a product, a nice little well put together product that makes sense when you buy it. Not just the music, but you get the music, you get probably some CD-ROM capabilities, you should get some DVD capabilities, the inner sleeve, check to see if it's waterproof or if they're using something cheap. This is what you should be paying for. If you're gonna say, I'm gonna buy a CD, buy the packaging, buy the work that goes into the packaging, because that's what we should lift the game up to. But in terms of the music, I just handed out a couple of copies that I guess I had on spare in hopes that you guys will share it with the rest of the university. You could download it, do whatever you want with it. It is the new album. No one has it in the country, you guys. Well, Cal State has a few copies. Y'all better hurry up. Let's start with the Q&A, and thanks for your patience, please.
All right. How do you feel about the whole political correctness movement? Is it a deviation from necessity, or is it something that's really needed?
Well, I think political correctness is, it falls in the idea of politeness, political politeness. And that is a substantial movement. I mean, I think there should be a movement that urges people to be politically nice to each other. To take a person's feelings and, interests in mind. However, I've always had a kind of a love-hate relationship with the title political correctness. I don't know that politics could be or should be correct. Like if you have something to say about a person, you should be able to say it. Whether it's politically or not. But again, I think that's more personal, because me personally, I love to hear, I like really interesting conversations on race, for instance. But to really have conversations on race, you have to talk to mature people of other races, where if they say, I got a study that says that black people are just inferior, man, you got to deal with that. Then I can't be like, yo, man, you know what? We got to be like, well, you know what? I got to study. And we go back and forth. But what is politically correct? It comes from these point of views, and I'm just using black people as an example, but everybody got their thing that they don't want people to say about them, whether it is true or not. You know who you are, but a lot of people don't. A lot of people are insecure. There's all this talk. I could go through religions and races and ethnicities of people. People don't really want straight talk on politics. And that's why we're in the situation where we can't really discuss the white mind, the white male mind, the Latino mind, different from the white mind. Why? Because politically, it's politically incorrect to discuss anything that doesn't have to deal with equality. We all got to be equal in a politically correct conversation, so we never get to discuss, but what is the difference between the Latino mind and the black mind, or the black experience and the white experience, or the white experience and the Hindu experience, or the Asian experience? We can't really have those discussions. So it's a great question. Somebody should write a book on that, because it's a deep conversation that also goes into stereotypes. Americans have not matured yet to the point where we can openly discuss our racist stereotypes. We do it in comedy all the time, and we chuckle and laugh, but we really should pay attention to what the stereotypes of races are, because we can move forward on that. But this thing of equality, I think it's a real challenge to have like equality and political correctness. It's sort of like saying democracy and capitalism. It's like, one always, it's always like this. It's like, are we going to be politically correct, or are we going to seek the truth? So, thanks for the question.
Yeah, thanks for the answer.
Thanks.
Thank you, brother. As a student of hip-hop, I've always wanted to answer Teacha of hip-hop a question. Now, can you talk to the issue of disconnect in our generation, of my mother's generation being disconnected and calling us that loud music, And then talk to the issue of the disconnect within the hip-hop nation of these young thugs or the young ballers with brothers like yourself and the connectionists. And can you talk to, is there an ongoing effort to bring some clarity and some connection to the music industry?
Yes, this is what we have started since 1996. I announced an organization called the Temple of Hip Hop, which came about through a lot of research in terms of what hip hop needed. It started again with Zulu Nation. In this conversation, I stopped with Zulu Nation and then jumped over to Flash, Grandmaster Flash. But Zulu Nation was the beginning of that kind of a discussion, unionizing of rappers, healthcare insurance, legal defense fund, getting more than 50 cent or 30 cent a record when the record sells for $10.25 wholesale. These types of issues were discussed with Zulu Nation. In 1989, we put out the Stop the Violence movement and raised money, $400,000, which eventually went to the National Urban League for Literacy programs. That went into All in the Same Gang, inspired Mike Concepcion and that group to have a gang truce. The Crips and the Bloods actually ended that long fight. And that record was to commemorate that, All in the Same Gang. We did Human Education Against Lies as well in the 90s, advocating first, we was against that Gulf War, and we were open about that, but we also advocated civilization over technology. We felt that technology was overrunning civilization, and we offered that to the hip-hop community as well. In 91. In 96, we announced the Temple of Hip Hop because we had this whole 14-year period to study hip hop, see what it needed, how it should develop, and so on. And so we opened up a lot of the doorways for what you see today. Let me tell you the plan that's going on today. What we realized is that for our children to learn the deeper lessons of life itself, that we have to attract them with what they love the most. Right. Wild sex, violence, extremes that you cannot possibly imagine. Hip hop will take you right there, sure. In that sense. But the strategy is that you will see from every single hip hop artist that you see on television and radio, they will begin to change their image before your very eyes. All of hip-hop is united, all of it. Even the petty squabbles you see going on or so on, they happen. It happens in Congress too. I don't know if y'all catch sometimes the British Parliament on C-SPAN. That's funny. Yes, indeed, I'm sorry. To answer your question, yes, there is a silent movement. It's behind the scenes. It's very successful, our movement. Just to give you just where it is so that you could detect it. The new movie, the new DVD, Beef, if you should look for this DVD. It's directed by Peter Spire and Quincy Jones' son, QD3, and it's called Beef. This is one of the manifestations or effects of the movement itself. We felt that MC battling started to get a little more out of hand. We are the ones who initiated the concept of MC battling into hip hop as a sport. Those that know, you know, back in the days we had the MC Shan, Bridges Over South Bronx battles called the Bridge Wars. You may recall other battles that I may have had throughout hip-hop's history, right. And so on. But the point was that we felt that it was getting too wild. So we started Blaze magazine, which was part of the movement. It went under since then, but it was part of the movement, writing about hip-hop from a magazine point of view, and then setting up the rules for MC battling. I don't know if you remember, we was on HBO right. With something called the Blaze Battle. And it came on and we was showing America that you can battle and have words with a person and then give them, you know, a handshake and move on. That was very effective across the United States. as well. In addition to that, the Temple of Hip Hop has over 25,000 members, some of which are, many of which actually are hip hoppers that you see every day on television and radio, and they know about the movement as well. One thing I have to say unequivocally is that KRS-One is highly supported by the hip hop community. It is not the hip hop community that is at fault. If anything, it would be the speed in which I am going in terms of being more visible, being more vocal, but the mission that we're on doesn't require that I be visible and that I be vocal. I put albums out, we do tour, this kind of thing, but for the most part, we're bringing hip hop to the universities. We're bringing hip hop to places like the United Nations. On May 16th, 2001, we went to the United Nations and declared hip hop an international culture for peace and prosperity. That was May 16th, 2001. Now, just because you declare yourself an international culture and the United Nations actually accept you as that, you have to still promote that fact. And people still have to believe in their mind that hip hop is beyond entertainment, that this thing is a feeling, it's a behavior, it's a consciousness, a culture. So everybody is not gonna see the movement because we're not like, you know, dun, 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 the movement. It's not big like that. But if you wanna know what's going on the surface, you could check Temple of Hip Hop. Oh, that's right. You can check templeofhiphop.org, or you could register as well right outside here and jump on the mailing list, and we'll let you know what's going on. We have a 2004 agenda, by the way, that you would get when you fill out just a name and address kind of thing. We'll give you the 2004 agenda, but there is a very big movement going on right now. 2005 to 2010. Is really when it jumps off. There's so much to tell you. You just sparked me, actually.
I know, I'm part of the hip hop temple. Bring the tour to Portland, bro.
Absolutely, absolutely. And for those that can,
This has to be the last question of the show tonight.
okay, let me try to group these last.
If we could ask these questions together, that'll be very helpful. We have a show tonight, and of course the teacher will be here all night answering every person in his question. When we group these questions together, it'll be very helpful to us. So just ask the questions, they don't answer all together.
Okay. Well,
Go ahead. Just go ahead.
okay.
Where is that concert? Let me get an
Whoa.
address.
Do you remember hosting an MC battle in Boston like a month ago?
Yep.
Well, I was there, and the entire battle was about people, like the people who were battling, they were all talking about like hurting each other and like
Yep.
how each other were faggots and
Yep.
like how they're gonna kill each other's moms, you know, and like really shit, like bad shit like that. And like, I don't know why you would like stand behind something like that and like kind of like put your name behind it and support it when like it seems like it totally goes against like what you represent.
Sure.
And like after I saw it, I was kind of like, well, what is KRS-One doing? Like,
Sure.
like it didn't make any sense, you know?
Sure. The battle that she's referring to happened in Boston, and it was an MC battle. It was a pretty big battle, by the way. It had a $5,000 purse. The winner was to win $5,000 that day. And I did lend myself to that event as well. We also tried to influence the way in which MCs came to the stage. But it wasn't an independently promoted event. I just sanctioned it because the people who were putting it on, we knew them and so on, and they wanted guidance in this kind of thing.
It was like Jam in 94.5.
Huh?
It was Jam in 94.5.
No. They wasn't the promoters. They were the sponsors. There was an actual promoter. But let me answer your question though. Two things, well, actually several things. One, I cannot censor an MC's performance. I have to allow the MC to be what that MC is or says. Now, of course, some of the expletives that we use, some of the metaphors even that were used, I personally, okay, good. I personally meet KRS-One, no, I would not have come off like that. Like any of the MCs, I actually thought the battle actually was kind of whack, like it wasn't as good as it should have been. And a lot of people felt the same way. A lot of people felt the same way, that it wasn't at the level that it should be. But this is what the Boston hip-hop scene provided. There were about 50, yeah, this was real. There was about 50 contendants out of about 100, about 200 people showed up, and we narrowed it down to 50 people that we thought would get on stage and do what they were supposed to do. And they got up there, and what happened was, now, this is an interesting question you raised, because what happened was the audience began to cheer those with the dirtiest mouth. So everybody, I guess when it started, it kind of started out kind of like, you know, kind of on an even keel. But then if somebody said an expletive and the audience was like, oh, and you're winning by way of audience response, then I think in that sense it kind of fell into then everybody to try to take out the guy before him felt that the way to get the ralph out of the audience was to speak the expletive. Now I believe that if the audience was not cheering them along, that they would have been forced to change their view. But you was there as well. Every time somebody said something about somebody's moms or about somebody's this or that, the audience loved it. And I think that spurred these MCs on. I agree with you totally. You know, at times I wanted to jump into battle, but I, at the same time, I can only advise them, and that's what we did do. We did advise them as the Temple of Hip Hop. We said, look, you should come with different subject matters. It could have been a better battle had you had different subject matters. But I can't tell another MC, you got to sound like me or anything to that matter. What do you got? Boom, I got this. He says it, the audience loves it. What do we do? And that goes to a bigger question, even about selling records. If Snoop Dogg puts out an album at the same time KRS puts out an album, but 5 million people buy Snoop and say 500,000 people buy KRS, what do we do? I can't say, yo, Snoop, that whole Girls Gone Wild is crazy. I have to say, yo, you know, I'm me, I'm who I am, Snoop is who he is, I can advise him, and that's what we do. We do that constantly. That we do. We do advise artists constantly on their ways. We offer information, we give knowledge. I wrote a book, I offer the book freely to artists, constantly advising them, telling them about the repercussions and the consequences of their actions. A final point, on the back of the Beef DVD, the Beef soundtrack album, I wrote a letter to, really to the whole industry, but to 50, it was addressed to 50 Cent and Ja Rule. We came in the middle of that and tried to do our part to quell that beef down as well. But to answer your question, I agree with you totally, and it does look crazy for KRS-One to be there hosting something that he is not about. At all. Your depiction of me is completely accurate. But look at the work that I have to do.
Yeah, it's not any disrespect to you. You know, I respect your work completely.
No, and I'm not taking it as such. But your question is real and it's right. Look at what we are up against. If I'm going to advise these kids against such expletives as you heard, not only do I have to be in the mix, I have to be there, but I'm fighting an audience that's cheering them on. The audience is telling them, be this, do that. And I'm saying, no, you don't really have to do that. And then the kids are saying, what are you talking about, Chris? Snoop just sold 5 million records.
But then you have to tell the audience, you guys need to shut up, because you're,
Yeah.
you know? Thank you, though.
Thank you. Thanks for the question. Let's try to combine you three now.
I don't know how to combine this with nothing. I'm gonna say this as quick as I can and as well as possible. I do street team promotions for direct productions,
Okay.
and we started to do shows for you twice in a row. Okay. You accepted an advance from us twice in a row from my boss twice in a row, and I had to sit my ass out in the rain twice in a row, passing out your flyers, making sure everybody in the city knew you were coming to town. And I'm just wondering why you're doing a show with you, these cheesy little white kids from Eugene, rave promoters. I'm saying this is real hip hop and this is bad bitch. Direct
Oh,
Productions
wait,
is
I'm
the
saying you're
only-
going too fast. You're going too
saying
fast.
Direct Productions is the only hip hop promotion company in Portland that really gets down and brings whoever the fuck who can get down and really drop hip hop, underground shit. They're going underground right now. They're losing all their damn money. My boys can't get paid. I can't get paid for putting up posters and flyers. I did not get paid for standing out in the rain. I just want to know what's cracking with that.
Well, what's the question?
The question is basically what's cracking with saying, like, can Ben and Ron get their money, please? That's the
I'm
question.
sorry, sir. I can't hear you.
My question is,
Basically, what he's trying to say, I know who he's talking about.
Okay.
I need more clarity. Basically, Ron Enright owns Direct Productions out here, and he brought out you and paid you a $5,000 retainer before, and 2 times you canceled. And
Right.
basically,
Right.
what he's saying, I mean, I'm neutral in the game, sponsored by Invisible, you know what I'm
Yep.
saying? But I'm just trying to add some clarity to the whole situation and move it along like escalators. But anyways, what he's saying is he never got paid, and he was handing out flyers and this and that. They're wondering if they could get their money back from the
Can I get
retainer
paid?
that they dropped.
Sure. Let me address that. You may not know the inner workings of that deal. Let me tell you now.
Right. So I wanna hear from
First
you.
of all, when we contracted that show, in all of my contracts, the only way that I would cancel a show is if it is an act of God. If something, a crash, an accident, health, something like that. The promoters know this going in. They look at the contract beforehand, and it's never really happened. Now, when I was contracted to do this show, I was on my way up here. I haven't canceled the show. Matter of fact, the only show that I've ever canceled in my life was the show you're talking about, ever, in my 18-year career. I was on my way up here. What happened was I had an abscess in my teeth. My teeth started to just bug out.
Okay.
And I then called all the promoters, and I told them, look, there's an issue with my teeth.
Right.
I'm just trying to deal with it. You know, I'm taking the echinacea, I'm doing my thing. I'm trying to deal with it. But I woke up in the morning, my mouth was swollen, and I had to get here in 3 days. And my mouth was swollen like on the day I was gonna leave. So, according to the contract, according to the law, I went to the medical doctor. It was an emergency. They went in, they took 3 teeth out. And I immediately had them, even before I woke up, I said, send the medical report to the promoters so that he can then get that out to the fans. I said, also, I'm available for radio, I'm available for television, anything. This is terrible, and I would never do this to anyone, but I'm sitting here in the hospital, and it was news all over hip-hop culture. The whole thing was news. And so I sent the medical report to the promoters, and I said, now, for 6 months, how can we work this out? My attorney has sent letter after letter. Look, I can come here. Sometimes I'll be in California. Sometimes I'm in San Francisco. And I say, I don't want to call the promoter's name, but there was one promoter that had all 4 of these dates linked up together. And I call him and say, yo, I'm in the area, what you want to do? Here's what they want to do. What they want is for me to come up and play a free date as if I did something wrong. Now, I offered to give the money back. I said, here, I'll give you the money back. All 4 promoters said that's not the issue. The issue is your fans. I said, then bring me up. It's either one or the other. Now, what is it to bring KRS-One up? I said, you don't have to pay me nothing. I will even forfeit the pickup at the door. Don't pay me nothing. Just give me hotels, because I got other people with me. It's not just me.
I'd have got your ass a hotel.
Right, give me hotels. They wouldn't give me the hotels. Wow. Go back and ask those promoters, why wouldn't you bring KRS? KRS-One said he will come up here for free. Just provide hotels for the guys I'm flying in from other places.
Yeah.
They said no, they didn't want to do that. So I said, well, you know what, you guys don't really want it to work. And according to the contract, if in fact it is an act of God and I can prove that it is, I keep the money anyway by law. And my attorney challenged them on this, and they didn't want to go to court on it. No, it's not personal. I understand. It's not personal, though. No, this is about It's a good question. It's a fair one as well. And let me address what you were saying also. That's the business side. Let me thank you right here in your face and say thank you for whatever you've done for me. Let me personally and publicly thank you for what you've done for me. We appreciate that. Anybody who is down with us or part of us, we appreciate that. And actually, if you don't mind, after I leave here today, you could see me back here in the dressing room back here, and we could really talk that out. I'll shake your hand. We'll trade numbers, and I'll show you the sincerity of what we're about, because we are about people, and that's why this is not personal. It has to be dealt with. So again, let me thank you again. This is the first time I'm meeting you. It won't be the last time. Thank you again, because I know that, and also there were others out there as well, not just yourself, but there were teams of people that really wanted this concert to go down, really wanted to bring KRS through, and because of these middle people, and I don't want to blame the promoter, look, it was my teeth that actually messed up, so I can't blame anybody, but I did repeatedly, and I will say again today, I want to go back to Eugene, I want to come to Portland, I want to go to Seattle, I want to go I mean, this is the spot right here. I mean, look at this audience. I mean, this is where it is. I want to be here, but look at what had to happen. Look at what had to happen. At the end of the day, we've been working on this for 3 years. We're coming up on 3 years on those shows. About 3 years ago that actually went down, but it actually took Reed College to bring KRS-One through like that. This is the beauty. This is the beauty of what I do and what the movement is about. Right. We couldn't come up here on the concert level, but through the grace of God and everything in between, here we are at Reed, and we can discuss this, and we can meet, and if you're part of promotion, I need to meet you anyway, because we need to get down and talk anyway. We may have some work, some stuff we really need to sit down and achieve, and I'm glad you stepped up like this, because I may have met a new friend. Word.
Thank you all for coming out. Let's give another round of applause for the teacher.
Thank you. We are, right now, we're running. Those that have cameras, come up to the front. I'll take some photos. We'll sign some stuff. But I'm reading a newspaper here. We're going to be at
Burbati's Pen.
Burbati's
Pun.
Burbati's Pen. You guys, if you want to come through. Come to the back door if you want to get in for free. I only say that once. It's all good. Come on, I'm coming around. Oh, let me come around. Oh, see the aggressive one.
Yes.
My man. You got my stuff? Come over here. Which way are we going?
We just thank you for coming.
Oh, man. Thank you.
Thanks for coming to our event.
Thank you. This was amazing. This was absolutely amazing. This was great.
Picture with you?
Oh, absolutely.